I broke up a couple of 7 years. I was 21 when I met Jay, 27 male, on an online dating app. I wasn't sure about him, but eventually started getting attached to him because he was the greenest flag I had ever met in a romantic interest. There wasn't a single date when he didn't show up with flowers. He was the kind of guy who listened and didn't judge or gave you unwanted commentary. I felt like the luckiest girl. Things drastically changed when I was finally head over heels for him. Turns out, not everything is perfect. Even after knowing each other for almost 2 months and going on dates every weekend, we never really had a discussion about what our relationship was. I always thought we were dating each other, but then one night when we were on bed, and I told him how I've always wanted to get married and have kids, and then he said that he loves me so much that he cannot be in a relationship because if it didn't work out, he would lose me, and he couldn't even imagine losing a friend like me. Yes, I was confused and tried to be rational in the conversation and told him that I would never break something so beautiful with him. I'm not the type to cheat, and unless there was a serious issue like violent fights and cheating, which I was sure he wasn't that kind of a person because he had just confessed to me how much I meant to him, then why shouldn't we give it a try? He didn't accept my views, and instead he persuaded me about keeping it how it was, as he saw this genuine bond between us that he never wanted to break. I did feel a bit like he had some commitment issue, but as I said, I was completely in love with him and didn't want to ruin it by being stubborn about giving a tag to the relationship we had. Now I was in this situationship, which I had never realized I was in until 2 months of dating, but everything else remained as it was. He would pick me up every Friday night for a dinner date. Then we'd stay together for a night at my place, and then he'd leave every Saturday morning with a kiss on my forehead. This went on for a couple of months. We were now in this situationship for 6 months now, and then I found out that I was pregnant. I was paranoid. I was in the final year of my college, my exams were starting next month, and I didn't know what to do. I tried calling Jay, but he didn't receive my call as it was Monday, and he never called or texted me on Mondays. I waited for him for his callback or reply to my text, but he didn't. I waited a whole week. He didn't even show up on Friday evening. It was Saturday. I was 6 weeks pregnant. I didn't have much time, or else I would have to surgically abort the child. Trembling, therefore, I went to the pharmacy, bought the pregnancy termination pill, and aborted the child as soon as I could. It wasn't because I didn't want the kid, but because if I had decided to keep it, I wouldn't have been able to give that child the life it deserved, and I wasn't even sure that Jay would ever want to be a part of it. I couldn't raise a kid who never knew who their father was. I was depressed. I ruined my final term exams. I was guilty, and Jay, after the message, he never called me back. I was severely depressed, but I still tried to move on. 2 months later, I saw a post on Facebook. It was Jay's profile. I had stalked him with my fake ID in the initial days of our situationship. In that post, he had announced his engagement to his girlfriend for 7 years. I was devastated. Everything collapsed right in front of me. I knew Jay had brushed off everything we had without a word. I knew he was never coming back, but there was still some hope in my heart that said, maybe he's stuck in something unavoidable, or maybe he was just as scared as I was by the news, but would definitely call me someday. But now, all that hope had just crumbled in front of my eyes. My hands were shaking. I felt betrayed and worthless. I felt like I was the ugliest woman in the planet in front of the girl he was hugging in that post. I did some more stalking and got his fiancée phone number. I called her. My hands were shaking, my throat was dry, and I couldn't even find my voice. I hung up, then I tried again, and then I asked her about Jay. Slowly realizing, I learned that the entire time he was in that situationship with me, he was living with her. They were still together, and he was actively cheating on both of us. I didn't know how to react to that information, and I started crying. Jay's fiancée was of his age. She instantly understood what was going on. She politely asked me about everything. Steadily but emotional, I told her. I even shared all his texts, call records, screenshots of his dating profile that I had taken when we had just started to talk. I told her everything. The next day, I got this huge text from Jay, 3-4 paragraphs long. He called me a liar, desperate, said that I had faked all the chats and the dating profile because I was some psycho who had a crush on him. But because I couldn't get him, I was trying to break his marriage. This time, I didn't hold myself back. I sent Jay's fiancée all the pictures we had taken when we were together, all his nudes that were still there in my iCloud. She called off the wedding and broke up with him.